Why Remember is the name of the learning and engagement programme, which supports Historic Royal Palace's First World War centenary programme called Tower of London Remembers, which also includes the installation Blood-Swept Lands and Seas of Red.
During 2014, the moat of the Tower of London is being filled with 888,246 ceramic poppies to mark the centenary of the First World War.
This project is for everybody because remembrance is for everybody. So we've worked with primary schools, we've worked with families, we've worked with secondary schools, we've worked with informal groups, community groups, a theatre group, and everybody on Twitter and through other forms of social media. And so it's for everybody.
The Poppies Theatre Project is part of the 11 to 19s programme for the Learning and Engagement team at Historic Royal Palaces. And we're working with the Arcola Youth Theatre to create a piece of site-specific theatre inspired by the Poppies installation at the Tower of London.
This is a completely new project for us, so we do a 3-term structure with each term doing about 10 weeks in length. For this project we're looking specifically at one-to-one performance. And what's quite interesting about the work that the historical interpreters do at the Tower is the nature of that being either for a group, but also a nature that they're presenting characters for one individual in the audience. And so this project for them is both a very different process in that they have an external stimulus, which in this case is the Poppies project and the installation at the Tower, but they also have a new skill set that they're learning at the same time.
What we've done for this project is met them at the beginning and they've come to the Tower of London, experienced the Poppies, thought about remembrance, learnt about some of the Tower stories and the people who lived and worked and some who died there during the First World War. Then they've come back to the Arcola, carried on with their work, carried on exploring those characters, and will perform at the end at the Tower of London and at the Arcola, so they get to really experience site-specific theatre.
They're used to performing at school, or they're used to performing in the theatre, but to be able to come here and be part of the history and be part of the exhibition and the remembrance, I just think it's great for them.
I've learnt actually a lot more about the individuals, and when we went to the Tower we got a booklet. There was lots of individuals in there and we got to learn about them.
You just get more insight on how many different roles there were, because you don't think about the nurses and the spies, you think about the soldiers.
Because they gave us a book, so it gave us ideas of who was in the First World War. I saw a couple of spies and their stories, so that inspired me to use that in my own character.
I really enjoyed it there because I got to see some of the things that they used in the war, and it took me back to history.
Tower of London was really good because you knew they were there to see young actors perform, so it was easier because they were ready for your performances. It was great to vibe off them and to be able to perform well.
Oh, the Tower, probably my best performance, I think. You got to make your own monologue and develop your own character. You didn't really get assigned to people. People would walk through. You could kind of tell people were interested in your character because they would stop and listen and look. It was quite fun. It was also quite serious at the same time because the matters we're discussing weren't supposed to be fun.
So it's quite interesting to bring a group of 11 to 19-year-olds to the Tower, to the installation, which in its kind of scope and mass is quite powerful, and to ask them questions about why we remember, why we continue to remember, what forms should this remembrance take. And they were lucky enough to have the chance to experience some of those remembrances at the Tower, going down into the moat, being amongst the field of poppies, listening to the last post, the roll call of names, and then to come back and think about how relevant those styles of remembrance are to them themselves, and whether they have other ways that they remember, whether that be on a personal level, on a family level, or within their communities.
It's an invite to look at stories, it's an invite to look at either local, national, international history. It's an opportunity to challenge myths, traditions, assumptions.
I think we should remember the war because it was such a significant point in the history of the world, and there was so much carnage, death, destruction during it that it would be disrespectful to all those who were involved with it and all those who were affected by it.
100 years is so significant because it acts as a milestone. It gives us some perspective. It gives us an idea of how far we've come and how far we've got to go.
I think we should remember the war because it was a terrible waste of life, and by remembering it we can each ensure it never happens again on such a great scale.
We should remember the terrible times they went through for us, our futures, and that's just amazing that they did that.